Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you all here on stage at the Anuga HORIZON Sustainability at Anuga. My name is Tim Thonhauser-Röhrig. I am the CEO and co-founder of Fight Back. We are a leading non-profit organization with a mission to empower 1,000 international decision makers, executives, and innovators to collaboratively create a healthy and sustainable future based on three core elements. First of all, we provide a trusted platform to share actionable inspiration, insights, and best practices for a more sustainable and healthy future. Second, we provide personal development trainings for authentic and future-fit leaders. And finally, we create powerful alliances like the Dr. Earth Food Alliance with the mission to empower 10 million Germans by 2025 to adapt their daily nutrition towards the planetary health diet, to massively reduce greenhouse gas emissions while improving personal health at the same time. Today, I am your host of this session with a focus on food and sustainability with three phenomenal guests who have already achieved remarkable success with their organizations. So why are we actually talking about sustainability in the context of food? Well, latest research has shown that about 1/3 of all global greenhouse gas emissions are actually related to our global food systems. And this is massive. Furthermore, we know that several SDGs are directly or indirectly connected to our global food systems, talking about food waste, fair and sustainable production, working environments, social inclusion, and many more. Also, 7 out of the top 10 most impactful technologies researched by Project Drawdown are directly related to food. Ladies and gentlemen, food simply is at the core of the global transformation that is desperately needed if we want to reach our 1.5 degrees goals. So obviously, transforming this industry is a massive challenge, but it also caters huge possibilities for businesses, for profits, for growth, for prosperity, and all of this together with massive impact. In the next hour, I would like to invite you to meet 3 phenomenal role models, driven entrepreneurs and change makers who are already on the road to the desired future of this industry. And to start with, one area all of you should be deeply interested in is reducing inefficiencies in your supply and value chains, especially when it comes to food waste and overproduction. Worldwide, 2.5 billion tons of food are wasted every year. 12 to 18 million tons in Germany alone. And at the same time, we see that 8 to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions are associated with food waste. Alexander Pute is the founder and CEO of Spark Global, where he's working on a global AI, B2B food exchange to eliminate food waste in the supply chain and drive down climate damage. Alexander, it's a pleasure to welcome you here on stage as our first speaker of this session. Stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Alexander Pute. I'm the founder and CEO of Spark Global. And once again, as Tim pointed out, our mission is to eliminate, not just reduce, to eliminate food waste in the supply chain while driving down climate damage. Now, a little bit of background when it comes to me as a person. I'm an engineer by training, focused on automation, which is our topic at Spark. I lived a couple of years in the US, got my MBA from the Wharton School, focused on entrepreneurship back in the days, founded a number of tech companies in the meantime. I was lucky to be part of like an early success, actually the birth of performance marketing, a company we sold to Yahoo. And what really excites me is to build digital marketplaces or infrastructure companies, B2B. And so here we go. And a little bit of framings, like we see the 2 Bills here, Bill Gates, whom we all know, and also Bill Tai, who's an amazing tech investor out of Silicon Valley. And basically what they're saying is when it comes to climate, CO2 emissions, there is hope. Yeah? So they trust there can be powerful technologies helping to solve global problems, which is also our mission. And as Tim pointed out, recent numbers actually went up. Yeah? So the problem when it comes to food waste and the supply chain has become bigger, not smaller. and an incredible number of 2.5 billion tons of food waste per year, which is such an outstanding number. It's hard to break down, but to give you an impression, 750,000 truckloads every single day. Yeah, and we also learned, the old number, 8 to 10% of all CO2 emissions come from food waste, has been corrected upwards. It's 10% now, which is crazy. Yeah, so if you take the 2.5 billion tons times the climate factor, which is also by coincidence 2.5, you get to 6.3 gigatons of unnecessary CO2 emissions caused by food waste. So we have two goals to crack. Number one is food waste, and as a result, the climate damage will come down dramatically. And why is that? So I've been involved in food waste and the food waste solutions for 5 or 6 years now, and I learned food waste is not the problem. Yeah, the underlying problem is a different one. So the underlying problem is a supply chain inefficiency. Yeah, so the lack of efficiency, the lack of transparency leads to 40% of food overproduction, which is crazy. So this is not a case to optimize; it's more a case to disrupt or enable a new supply chain which is efficient, and the efficiency brings down overproduction as a result. So it's not just a problem, it's also a huge opportunity to fix the supply chain and drive value creation and protect our resources. And what is our solution? So our solution is a global B2B food exchange, which, believe it or not, doesn't exist. Yeah, that was my observation also. Not just there is no secondary market for food oversupply, there's also no primary market, which is a massive opportunity creating massive efficiencies. And at the same time, suppliers have to dispose of their food oversupply, which eats into their margins. Yeah, so there's a cost position which hurts them. Yeah, so it's nothing they accept. Yeah, so the problem continues. People have to dispose. It's money, it's a cost position. Now, in parallel, when we think about NGOs like Die Tafel or other NGOs, they're lacking budgets, they're lacking good food, so there's a huge redistribution opportunity. Now, looking at politics or Europe, we all know there's a food waste law which is in place pretty much all over Europe. Just in Germany, it's not the case yet. Yeah, and we might find next year there's a food waste law which triggers the supply chain to hand over food oversupply. Now, if we look at the young ones, Generation Y, Generation Z, pretty conscious, not a niche market. They like to know, what's in the product, like sugar levels, fat levels. Is it regional? Is it seasonal? Yeah, so there's a growing consciousness, basically, and the demand for good products. Now, how does it work? So our solution is tech-driven, connecting supply, which is shown on the left-hand side, and demand, which is shown on the right-hand side. So pretty much anybody in the entire market through our platform to learn when there are, incidents of food oversupply, and then as an extended workbench, we work with our suppliers to understand where may it go. Yeah, so like to avoid channel conflicts, but to give it to canteens, to industry caterers, to production companies, to NGOs, for example. We're much in line with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. In fact, one of our board members is an officer from United Nations and UNEP. So we like to be in touch to really be close to UNEP and to really implement some of the mentioned SDGs. And our core focus is number 12, which talks about responsible consumption and production, or circularity, Kreislaufwirtschaft in German. That's the core of our product. Now, if we allow ourselves to think about this massive problem as a potential market, we learned, there's huge market potential, knowing that 40% of all food is overproduced and goes to the bin for the wrong reasons. That shows you, the supply chain, and basically the message is there's no competition. The further upstream you go towards, the beginning of the supply chain, when there's, agriculture and production and so on. So there's almost like no competition. And the biggest player, to give you an indication, in Germany, as we all know, is Die Tafel with close to 300,000 tons. But it's only 1.5% of the food oversupply. So a huge potential. And how does it work in concrete terms. Yeah, so number one is like we can pass on the food, which is shown in the lower right corner. We call it distribution. So we ship the food to NGOs, to food producers, and so on. And the more volume we get our hands on, basically, there's an opportunity to actually produce products, turning tomato into tomato soup or tomato salsa. So, generating wonderful circular products shipped to partners like Compass Group, Eurest, and other ones. Business model, yeah. So like when we talk about innovation, people go, so like, how do you make money? Yeah, are you a charity or are you a business? Yes, we are a business because we need to pay our people. They all want to learn how we scale the business. So like we have a business model which works like an onion. So at the core, it's sales. We get our hands on the food almost for free. We sell it at a discount, and the delta is pretty much our profit. Yeah. Number two is like once we transform food into food products or circular products, there's a value add opportunity which we can monetize. Also, there's a small pickup fee when it comes to logistics. And given that we are a platform play, there will be SaaS fees in the future. And finally, and I'll leave that for later, we're also in process of generating our own CO2 certificate, which is an additional business model. So here we see some of the first circular products we have produced by our production partners. They're all IFS certified, so we don't have to like reinvent the wheel. There are a number of companies out there who can do a much better job than us producing food. And as you can tell, it's all fruits and veggies. Here's another one based on what's available in the market. We turn like fruit into Fruchtaufstrich and marmelade and jam and so on, based on what's available seasonally and regionally. Here's another volume opportunity, turning fruit into fruit salad. And that goes into like B2B channels or B2C products. And we've identified, relevant production companies. We've teamed up basically because this is coming, and we'll see like wonderful fruit salad in the future at scale, turning food oversupply into wonderful products. As I mentioned before, and that's very important to me personally also as the founder, we want to systematically cater to NGOs and not just as an accident. So like, they're part of our mission, they're part of our strategy. And so far, given that we're still a young company, we've channeled more than 100 tons to NGOs for free. We didn't send a bill. And so here we see Die Arche, which is like second in line basically in Germany, as a huge NGO working with food every single day. Here's our first international transaction also to an NGO in Mallorca, knowing that some of the hotel businesses jeopardized and most of the island community works in hotels. So there's surprisingly lots of poverty, which is new to Mallorca, and so food banks are really challenged to provide the right food. And so like we've shipped more than 50 or 60 tons so far to Mallorca, leveraging existing logistics to cater to the demand. Now, I've talked about the business model, and I've looked at Tesla, which is obviously not in the food industry. But if you know the numbers and financial numbers of Tesla, you know that revenue is generated by cars, but profit is generated by CO2 certificates. So I've looked at that model and transformed it into like our model also when it comes to food waste solutions. So basically, we will monetize the reduction of food oversupply and the reduction of CO2 damage in corresponding to the food waste problem with our own CO2 credits or CO2 certificate. Yeah, and doing so, basically, we invite the entire industry and our partners, including the ones I mentioned, like Compass Group, Lufthansa Industry Solutions, as a tech partner, GS1, Dean Fraunhofer, ILWV, to build a climate alliance, which is orchestrated by Spark, bringing out like an innovative CO2 certificate, which is unique in the world, to accelerate, the reduction or elimination of food waste in the supply chain. And so here we see a couple of partners messages like, we can't do it by ourselves. We're just a software company, if you like, but we do orchestrate the approach. And some of the really big partners, fortunately, have joined our alliance to extend our footprint. Now, along the way, and we started the company last year, some magic has kicked in, and one of the event was like we surprisingly made global first place at the so-called Extreme Tech Challenge, driven out of Silicon Valley, which came as a huge surprise 2,500 companies have applied. Basically, we made global first place in the smart cities category. So that gave us a huge boost and terrific visibility for us and our partners, which also helped us to close our first funding last year, 7 digits. Now,
Alex,
also the media picked Spark, and like we have a really strong run when it comes to media, which is almost overwhelming. But like Peter said, like, well, it's almost a no-brainer what you guys do. How do you do it in exactly, basically? Yeah, and so we've built in parallel also an advisory board, complementing our team, and we have like all the experts we need. I've talked about Gary Clark as a unit officer. We also have tax consultants. We have legal experts. We have Markus Sauerheim as the founding member of Send, for example. We have Ronny Rentner as an example, having acted as Rocket Internet's CTO for 8 years. So esteemed board members to help us drive our mission and scale the impact. And here we see some of the investors in Spark, not a VC, but believing impact investors like the Haas family office in Austria, Young Son as the former president of Samsung, Christian Vormann, whom we all know, Mario Götze, Fari Yadem, a couple of other guys. But like I'm really honored to have put in such amazing folks to help us scale. So this is our team. We just got nominated by Bundesregierung for the Digitalization Award. We're much entrenched in relevant networks when it comes to food, when it comes to technology, when it comes to Berlin as a city, or impact. And so like we also like to give back, not just draw from the networks. But this is my daughter, Isabella, and how wonderful would it be if we crack that problem by ourselves and we don't hand it over to the generation to come. And some people ask, so how can we help? Basically, more introductions to executives in the food industry, like food supply companies or food processing companies, so we can all participate in the mission. And our Series A funding is ongoing, which is going great. I'm really happy. So if anybody comes to mind who would like to invest, let us know. So thank you very much for your interest. I'm handing back over to Tim. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alexander. Great for having you, and thanks for this fantastic presentation. Amazing. Food waste is also connected to the focus area of our second guest speaker actually today. Jacqueline Schnau, she is the CEO and co-founder of Pumpkin Organics. And as a food industry expert, a proud mother and also a successful entrepreneur, obviously, she made it her mission to lower sugar in the baby food industry. And that's not an easy task, but with nutrition-related diseases at a critical level, this has to become a priority. And I really love this mission because it's a super unique opportunity to actually steer personal nutrition into the right direction right from the beginning. And I think this is exactly the time where we have to start. Jacqueline, it's a pleasure to have you. Please take it away.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the invitation. It is such a pleasure to be here. The reality is nutrition-related diseases are at a level that we have to get it under control. And Pumpkin Organics, it's really, we're pioneering sustainable nutrition for healthy kids, for a healthy planet. It's really personal, this company. When I started my career in the food industry, I was shocked how the food industry worked. I thought I was going to show up at this big American food company, right out of university, brand manager, huge P&L, ready to go, thinking I am going to change the world with food. It's not how it works. It's driven by Wall Street. It's driven by lobby groups. It is not driven by what we as people need, and especially what the babies needs. I come from Canada, from Saskatchewan, which is one of the most wonderful farmlands in the world. So I grew up with this insane passion for agriculture, the climate, for actually eating the food that I saw my friends and family work so hard to put on the table. So it is really ingrained in me, this concept of sustainable nutrition. But we have to change it from within. Our kids, our legacy comes from us figuring this out now, because our kids, this is what we're leaving them. So like many founders, I'm a bit older in life, starting my company, because it's time now to think about the kids and really build a place that they can grow up and have a healthy life. So everything we do is really inspired by nature. It is based on science. We have to stop basing production based on marketing and profit. It has to be based on what the kids need. And hopefully through this presentation, you'll see that there's a bit of passion involved. So we support parents. This is the point. Parents raise their kids, and there is no more important job in the world than parenting. Or tough, I can tell you that firsthand. But parents, we can't blame them. They are not given access to information. They are brainwashed with marketing half-truths and greenwashing and everything out there. So what we try to do is help parents support them, offering organic, plant-based, sustainable products, and also fair, just information about nutrition and education. The big problem that we're solving, it's unbelievable where nutrition-related diseases are. Just look outside. Look at everybody around you. If we don't crack this now, the consequences it has on our health and the happiness of our kids is so devastating. But when you think about our society, our healthcare system, we are at an absolute breaking point. And the most wonderful thing is we are in control of this, because the main contributor to this crisis is actually unhealthy eating, early nutrition. Kids don't learn how to eat, and they're not making good food choices. And the reality is, brands, companies, retailers, governments, everyone know this. The science is clear. But instead of basing our products on what the baby needs, we base it on what financial needs are out there. And that's what we want to change. So we provide healthy, nutritious food that teaches lifelong healthy eating habits. We support families because we care so much about that quality and the science. Parents can worry about everything else out there they have to. We are part of the community. We are the community because communities make decisions together. The influencers, the voice, the face of trust. This is what we're trying to do. And we take huge responsibility for the planet in how we do this. Because if we don't do it, how can we expect our children? Our children learn from us. Our children see, they make their habits in childhood. And these habits are everything because they make the difference to who they are as children, teenagers, adults, and they are going to make decisions, and we cannot let them have the future that we've actually created for them. And that's what we do. Put the needs of the baby first with our product. So in science terms, what do our products do? We reduce the dependency on sugar and teach that not everything delicious has to be full of sugar. Today's products are full of fruit, and on top of that, pureed fruit. And this has such a negative effect on the body. Just think of those little livers and those little pancreases. Fructose is sugar. Don't let anyone tell you anything else. Fructose is not good for the baby. There should not be a single full fruit, pureed fruit product in the market. Everybody knows this. The science is clear. And that's why we help babies fall in love with vegetables. And we do this by developing their taste palates, by giving them a huge amount of ingredients and culinary-inspired recipes. Think of what a baby in Sweden or Japan or Mexico grows up. It's not just on potatoes and carrots like we give German kids. Babies can handle it within respect. Babies can handle us teaching them. We teach them how to walk and talk and sing and dance. Why are we not teaching them how to eat? And most important, our products give functional benefits when the baby needs it. Omega-3s, protein, fiber, and this is what our portfolio does. But we are here, like I said, to support mom and dad. So our products are primarily healthy snacks and family helpers at home, like sauces. And just to show you, our products are significantly different than what's in the market. Our pouches, which there was 160 million sold last year in Germany, this is a primary way of eating. So like I said, we have to work within the ecosystem to change it. So what did we do? Half the sugar in the pouch. And we dominate with vegetables. And our pouches have healthy oils in them to help the babies absorb all those nutrients. But most importantly, we are only the second company in Germany and the third in Europe to have fully recyclable pouches. Now, this is not because we're the biggest company, I could tell you that. Well, we have ambitions to be big, but we're not there yet. But we were loud. The suppliers said you guys were one of the loudest voices fighting for change. So we said we got the pouches early on. Our oat bars have double the fiber. They're low in sugar. And our puff snacks contain double the protein. The thing is, food can be done well, and food can be done with a huge sense of responsibility. But it is just up to us to drive that change and accept that we are responsible for a healthy planet and healthy kids. We are responsible for that. We are food suppliers. We contribute to the innovation and sustainable nutrition, which drives our innovation and purpose. we want everybody to get behind. We want to grow the business. We want to grow the ecosystem by increasing the size of the pie, because more parents have trust and belief in what the products that are being offered to their children contain. We are here to help support home cooking. We are here to help parents teach their children how to eat, because this is the core to our kids' future. And we take this responsibility extremely seriously. Future leaders, the guys that are going to drive change in the food industry, these guys are the role models today. And we are extremely proud to be one of them. Sustainability is in our DNA. Starting a company is extremely difficult, but when you are purpose-driven and you have a guiding light and you have children at your core, it's not that difficult. So we were the first baby food company to be certified 100% climate neutral globally. And this, of course, is via offset and reduction. And now we're working on reduction programs. We work with 6 plants. We have 30 products. We already have 4 more coming this year and a whole pile coming next year. So we understand complexity because we are still a small team. But if you put this in your focus, because the kids' future matters, it's easy to do. Like I mentioned before, second company only. You can throw our pouches into the recycle system. This is huge because baby food, the quality and food safety is so high. You cannot have so many different types of packaging out there. Food safety comes first. And so recyclability needs to be up to us to find solutions. Plant-centric, veggie-heavy, organic. There is no other reason our kids need anything different. Protein, fiber, iron, folic acid, everything can come from the plant. And the reality is food waste is so much because kids, they might not eat everything at once. You can't force a kid to eat. You need to play with the kids and you need to teach them with their authenticity. Let them be kids. So we need to have packaging around it that allows parents to feel good and be in control and have products that are safe in their backpacks. We listen to nature. Who are we as a society to say that nature is not the leader? Look at our bodies. Our bodies are amazing. Look at how nature has recovered from all of the stuff that we put it through. And the science proves it time and time again. The science of the first 1,000 days says we can program children to learn to eat well. If we teach them to eat well, it will come back to them. And that's what we want to do. We want to teach kids to eat well so they make good decisions, not perfect decisions, good decisions to reduce nutrition-related diseases. Another aspect is sugar in products. It's crazy. It's out of control. It is so easy to put another fruit-based product on the market because that's what, kids want to eat. That's what parents want to buy. No, we teach them that. So our point of view is no product should be 100% fruit-based and no product should be above 7 grams of sugar per 100 grams because that's what breast milk is. And if Mother Nature knows what babies need to start, then we better follow her incredible wisdom. So with that, it was an absolute pleasure sharing a bit of Pumpkin Organics with you. We are also in the process of raising our A round. If it's interesting, please get in touch, even if we're interested as a partner to work with. And especially if you're interested in to join our mission to change the trajectory of children's health. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Absolutely amazing. I really love your drive and the passion behind this. This is really a project coming from the heart. Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing this. Last but not least, I'm honored to introduce you to Carolyn Studeman. She is the CEO of the well-known brand and all-profit organization Viva Con Agua from Hamburg. And for the last 15 years, actually, Viva Con Agua has been on the mission to provide access to drinking water to all people worldwide. And with more than 60 projects in 24 countries, the organization has actually created an impact on 3.6 million people and sustainably improved their quality of life. But that's not all. Viva Con Agua is also a leading example for proving that social, ecological, and economical change and interests can actually brilliantly work together hand in hand. So Carolyn, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Please take it away.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Yeah, I'm Carolyn Studeman, and I'm very happy to introduce you to all the work we do for in Viva Con Agua for the last 15 years. And our vision is clear. We want everyone in the world to have access to clean drinking water, because water is the base of life and it's the main importance for a healthy living. And we are really inspired by providing everyone with clean drinking water. And how we do it, I will introduce you to that a little bit later. But what I think is very important around Viva Con Agua, we are a social organization and we are combining, on one hand, charity, because we are collecting donations and we are donation based. But on the other hand, we have a lot of different social business models. And that's a good example to see how sustainability can work when it comes to economic sustainability. So how can you form business models that actually serve the community? Because what I see at the moment is sustainability is so trendy. Everyone is talking about it. And that's a good point. And many companies are changing their logistics. They're changing their processes. They are really positioning themselves. And they really want to be more sustainable. And I think this is a very good development and I really appreciate it. But on the other hand, what I see is that there are a lot of companies also that they are mainly working on their marketing aspects. So they really want to be perceived as very green and very ecological, very future friendly. And what I think, this is really a momentum because people take a closer look. They really have a look, is this company really interested in sustainability? Are they really changing and want to become more sustainable? Or is it more about this greenwashing or just to be seen at in the marketing aspects? And I think these two examples that we just heard are perfect examples to make a big change, especially when it comes to ecological sustainability. And in my keynote, I would like to bring some examples how business models can function and especially how these ideas can get started. Because now, after 15 years, in Germany, Viva Con Agua is a very strong brand, successful, very well known. And to point that out, we are not a mineral water. Some of us, or some others know us as a company who also sells mineral water. And this is just one part. But we started as a movement, as an idea. 2005 was the initial idea that we really want to make an improvement when it comes to water. And we became a huge movement now. So in the beginning, there was a lot of energy. We were starting here in St. Pauli, in Hamburg, and there were young people coming together and they really wanted to change something. They wanted to get on this topic water because they knew this is the main essence of life. And if people have access to water, everything changes. So they had this energy here in St. Pauli, came together with a lot of activists, with a lot of artists, musicians, and they really want to change the world with their energy and their ideas. Our founder, Benny Adrian, was at that time a football player at the football club FC St. Pauli. And he was with his soccer team. They went to Cuba for a training and they realized how the drinking water situation was on Cuba. And they were really thinking, well, how can we change that issue? And they realized how elementary water is. So at that time, 1.1 billion people didn't have access to water. So it was a big challenge, and it is even today. So water is SDG number 6, the access to clean drinking water. And we all want to achieve it in 2030. But there's still a long way to go because still 500 billion people don't have access. So there's a lot we want to change till now. What we see that this first energy that we had, that we wanted to change this everything with joy. So we call us all-profit organization, not classical non-profit organizations, because we believe that change is made with joy and with people who can be part of the movement. So our movement now is in Germany, very big. We have a lot of people supporting us here, and we are collecting donations that goes to our projects in, for instance, Ethiopia, Nepal, Malawi, Kenya, Mozambique, and we provide with water projects the access to clean drinking water. And this always goes together with different components, and it's always very individual what is needed in the parts. And what is very important for our movement, because I told you it started all in St. Pauli, but now it's worldwide movement. And this is also part that we have a lot of international, very prominent supporters. For instance, the football player Manuel Neuer, or the Wu-Tang Clan, or Barbara Schöneberger, or the front singer from Coldplay, Zoe Wees, and many, many more. They all made a statement for us, a statement where they say water is a human right. And you can find it everywhere. And this is what we believe. Water is a human right, because it is everything we do requires water for drinking, washing, growing food, for the manufacturing industry, everywhere. It's all around. And we sometimes forget, because especially in Germany, we can just use the tap and we have access to clean water. But it is still, it's such a luxury product. And that's why we want to make the people more sensible around that. We, as Viva Con Agua, as you can see in the background, there's an image of a festival. We are on every event you might see. The Viva Con Agua is involved. We will walk around and just want to tell our vision and want to find other supporters. So it is very easy to support us. So we would have refundable cups, and people could donate on the festivals for our water projects. But what is important around this is that in these events, all the changes are made by joy. So we want that people can participate, that people can be part of the movement and share our vision. And in Germany is 10,000 voluntary supporters, but also there's voluntary supporters in Switzerland and in Mozambique, in South Africa, and they all follow the same vision, water for everyone. And that's why we are collecting donations, but also building business models. And all the business models always have in his core, they have this joyful aspect, because we think the world can be changed with joy, and this is the best way to do it. And that's why we work together with local artists. And there's one business model that I would like to introduce to you. That is the Millantor Gallery. It is an art gallery, and it takes place here in Hamburg every year in normal years. And there's the Inter Football Stadium is created as a big art piece. You can find a lot of different art pieces there. We are working together with international artists, and we are selling these artworks, and all the wins, the profits are going to water projects. And this is also kind of a non-profit business model, that on one hand, money is generated by events, by especially art events. And we are working together with the artists, and they also themselves, they can donate art. So they can do what they love, they can do what they're good at, and provide this for our vision, water for all. And with this positivity and this willingness to change, we can create a change, because it is not with a raised finger to say, oh, the world is so bad, we need to do something. No, it's a playful approach. So we are using sport, music, art to create this change. And as you can see, the core of this business model, it is really focused on our vision. And we have different business models. When I count now, I think it's 7 different business models, and they all have the core vision providing water to everyone in the world. But also it's kind of a transition in economic. So it's a transition in how we think business models should function, because what we believe is that economy should serve the people, because this is why we need it for. So it's not just serving a few shareholders so that they get richer and richer. For us, it is really a community approach. So we think that business models should serve the community, And what we experience as a very strong brand, that more and more people come to us and they would really like to support with even with invests. So we have one business model that is the mineral water. And the idea was to find more income for our water projects. And we found a lot of investors that gave us money to start that social business. And because it was so successful, it was able for us to also give them the first invest back. And now they say, okay, come on, your ideas are so good, so we don't even want the profits back. So the mineral water is really serving the purpose. And it's a special product because we don't have any giveaways for the restaurants. We have no fridges to offer. And the mineral water is always a very regular price. And even if you buy a lot, we cannot give any discounts because the social cost is in the core. And still, all the fancy bars that I know, all the restaurants, a lot of huge restaurant brands, they really want this water because they say the customers ask for sustainability, the customers ask for credibility, and credibility is not possible if you have a business model that is only focused on profit. Then it's more about the marketing aspect. But if you really, if you have a purpose in your business model, then also this would have an effect on the customers, especially the young customers, this generation that is in social media and that's really researching what the company actually does and which effect a company has. So for us, having a sustainable business model is very, very important. So what we do now at the moment is that we are opening 2 more business models. And just this, to give you an example how it could work to build a sustainable business model. So we are opening a guest house in Hamburg, close to the main station. And how did we do it? We had different investors that gave us the main capital of 5.5 million euro. And we as an organization, we could give any money because we are a social organization. So we said, please, for the first invest, we can't give any money, but we can give our strong brand and our network and our ideas. And we were buying a piece of land close to the main station in Hamburg. And now we are building their guest house, a hotel, without any money from Viva Con Aqua involved. The social shareholders gave us the money, but they also give us 67% of the money. It's like a kind of a present for us. So we can build up this sustainable business model. And with that, every income that would come with the guests that are coming to the guest house, with every night, we are concrete building wealth. So we are supporting our vision with all the profit and the income that would come with it. But also on the other hand, the investors also, they have a smaller share. So they were able to be part of this business model. They got this land for a better price. And that also gave us a win-win factor. And with that, we can show how a business model can function in a different way. And that's what I think can be, the future of economy. And this is what people are very interested in credibility. So our model, everything started with collecting donations. And we are still, our main focus is doing fundraising, of course, and collecting donation, because we believe that we can solve this issue. We believe that we can provide everyone in the world with clean drinking water. And that is our main vision and main focus. But this is just possible if we also, next to the donations, find other ways, especially through business models, to find other ways to create an impact and to create income. So if you ask yourself, how can you support in having water as the main, I think this is the main future topic that will be part of every discussion in every year, I'm sure, because especially the UN says the water situation is getting more severe when the climate is changing. So there will be much more parts of the world that are running dry. So it is a very future topic. And if you think you want to support us, the first thing you can do is providing our mineral water, because there all the profits are actually going to water projects. And on the other hand, you can also think of how to support these business models, and also all yourself create business models that are more sustainable and actually serving the community. Because I think, and we think as Viva Con Agua, our planet and all human beings are really worth it, that we build an economy that keeps a balance and on one hand protecting and also sharing our resources. And what I think, people will be more and more aware to support businesses that are actually acting on sustainability. And I think water is life, so let's all try to keep on activating people for this main topic, water.
Carolyn, thank you so much. For the sake of time, we actually want to move on to the panel that we're having with the three of you, or the four of us, basically. Thanks so much for presenting this, and you're absolutely right. Water is essential to our lives and is super, super crucial that we make it more available to everyone out there. I think you actually already answered kind of my first question I would like to give to the panel here now, because obviously all four of us are actually fighting for a more sustainable future and more sustainable food ecosystem. Still, we know that there are massive challenges in changing running systems, like proven business models as they are out there and potentially working for many, many, many years already, which is a high risk. So my question is to you as entrepreneurs. What would be your advice to the participants in the audience of this conference on how to approach this transformation best? And I would like to start with Alex, because I think, Carolyn, you already gave us some business model ideas here, right? And you said like they should, these organizations should already create their own ones potentially, or partner with you. But Alex, what do you think? Like, how could innovation really generate new business opportunities here? What is your take on this?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've been on the B2B side for 20 years now. So like I was always very close to corporates and their mindset and their agenda. And let me say the following: so like before technology kicks in, like Spark, for example, it's not just about technology. It took me 2 to 3 years to really build relationships and trust, understand the agenda of our potential partners, to help them understand challenges, to offer support, let's say to start a relationship, to really dive deep on assumptions, on possible solutions, on the way forward, let's say, and then much later technology kicks in. So it's not just about technological innovation, so that is something we understand very well. But as I said, it comes later on. But the key point is for people to embrace, innovation as a tool to say, well, there could be another way where we could all benefit from, and to build business models in a place where there are no business models. So food waste, for example, people stop and think, okay, yes, that's a dramatic problem, but they don't necessarily think about a solution or a business model. So like crafting business models in a vacuum where there are no business models entails interest, curiosity, the willingness to talk, to leave, the day-to-day agenda and make space and time for fruitful discussions. So that is something I can offer to say, the starting point would be to free up 5% of everyone's time. I know people are really busy and, the COVID and pandemic hits, but if we really want to understand the way forward and it's the world turns very quickly, we need to make time. So that's my simple advice, to say, let's make some time to start dialogues. I've been doing this for 20 years of my life. I've seen magic happen, but it kind of entails the willingness to open up.
Brilliant. Thank you. Jacqueline, what would be your take on this? I mean, you come more from a point of passion and responsibility in your company, right? Shouldn't that be the driver also for innovation for the large ones out there already?
We need is authentic passion. I've been involved in some already companies that have IPO'd in huge P&Ls. Business models are not the problem. There is plenty of business models and there are plenty of amazing minds behind these. But you need so much authenticity and passion to drive change because you're going to hit the wall everywhere. And to drive change in an industry which has such big, powerful incumbents, you really got to have the ability to stand strong. So I think there's really two things. One, we have to redefine the term innovation. We do not need another autonomous flying helicopter. We need sustainable changes that affect society today. And that means health and happiness today. And a lot of these businesses are run by women. And that's proven in the numbers. So let's back these women. Let's not try to think we have to create the next billion-dollar empire. Let's actually create momentum, give them funding, give them support to drive change today. And really, one of the biggest things here is what I call the karma cookie jar. You can raise money now. I think all of us have raised huge seed rounds, but the reality is you don't get anywhere without your network. We need to value our networks. And this karma cookie jar means do things for others without asking for it now, because when you need the help, they're going to be right there to help you because you have filled your karma cookie jar. And I could not have started or created a baby food company that has some of the highest regulation, certification, complexity without insane support from people along the way. So I think it really comes down to this, like, allow women to flourish in innovation, because this is 50% of our population. This is 50% of the brain power. And I would argue it's more than 50% of societal actual sustainability changes. Alex, with all the respect in the world to you, but I think there are a lot of women driving some really cool shit out there, but they're not getting a platform, they're not getting a stage, and they're not getting the funding, which we need to bring more sustainability to change in companies. Yeah, sustainable change into companies, sorry.
Definitely a good point. Thanks so much for highlighting this again. Absolutely agree on that. I think food is not only a business topic, right? But it's also a big cultural and a personal one as well. And we all know that especially the amounts of meat and dairy products that we eat, they are responsible for a big part of our greenhouse gas emissions out there. So my question would be, do you believe that it's more about the consumer to make the change happen? Or is it more about the corporates out there and the regulators potentially to push us into the right direction? And I would like to give Carolyn the word here, because you work a lot with passionate people, right, in your community. Do you think like they have the power, or do we need others to, I mean, obviously step up the game as well, but where do we have to push the most?
A very interesting question. And I would say this goes together, because we as Viva Con Agua activists really believe that everything starts in a group that really stands up for a topic. With a lot of passion, wants to change something. That always is a starting point that people are being more aware. So I think this is the main important starting point, and that's why I always tell everyone, you can make a change if you make a statement. If also everything that you're consuming, you are also creating a demand, and with your created demand, you're also changing something. And what I think next to that, I also see a lot of chances in startups, because startups can show that maybe some ways of new products or new ideas or new logistics or whatever can work to make kind of the room for also bigger companies to also go in this direction, because they see that it was worth it, that these changes can work. Because when I think if you are a very big company, doing these changes really cost a lot of money and also a lot of effort and take time. So if you're not sure if this is really in the market successful, then you might be not so keen on doing this change. And that's why startups can be like doing the first steps to show the big players how an example could look like. But I see there's also a third dimension in this. Next to the corporates and also the activists, there also need to be a regulation from the politics and the state. And what I think, especially when it comes to greenhouse gases or other pollutions of the environment, it is not possible that these emissions are all transferred on the future generations, and that the companies are not taking into account for that. And for that, I really think this third dimension of regulation is needed to also make a fair market for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, as we only have 2 more minutes left on the clock, I actually would love to close this session with a call to action. So my question would be, how can the guests of Anuga HORIZON actually start working together with you guys? So who are you really looking forward to partner with to make the next steps happen? And let's start with Carolyn, actually, please.
Yeah, the first step is be aware that water is the main resource that we all need, and it's more severe in future of time. So the first that you can do so support is buy our water and provide it in every canteen, in every big company, so that a lot of people are drinking a water that's actually transforming the market from itself. But also make a statement when it comes to water, maybe do donations, because if children are not having access to clean drinking water, they're not going to school. If women are not having access to water, they will have all that time just wasted on searching for water for the families. So water is really the main essence of life.
Thank you. Jacqueline, how can they partner with you?
I think our biggest thing is really kids are our future. And when you look at anything from even the election here in Germany last week, kids were never a topic. There is nobody fighting for kids and kids' health. And I think people work here. I mean, you can, of course, list our products and help us sell our products to help us drive more innovation. But we want to be a voice to try to bring people together, because I agree a lot with Carolyn said. Regulators are number 3. Regulators don't drive change. They don't ignite change. They're there just to try to regulate it. And we have to put the needs of kids' health first. They're our future. They're our everything. They're our legacy. And right now we're not doing enough. So yeah, get in touch with us if you want to potentially invest in us or potentially list our products, or even just be a partner and a voice for change when it comes to kids' health.
Thank you. Alex, short crisp answer.
So 2 quick ones. One on the supply side. So, when it comes to food chain participants, tell us when there is food oversupply, and don't tell us when it's too late, when the best before date or MRD is gone. Tell us before, so we can actually work with the information. Number 2 is on the demand side. Everyone in the industry working with food should source part of their food from our marketplace, call it spot market, to work with food oversupply in a dynamic fashion, and the problem is solved.
Brilliant. With these final statements, I actually would like to thank you all for sharing your insights and also these opportunities to make the needle move for a more healthy and sustainable future. And also would like to send a big thank you to the organizers of Anuga HORIZON here at Anuga for inviting us to this phenomenal conference and giving us also the possibility to share our stories and our businesses here. And to all the participants in the audience, I hope that this session has actually empowered you to push even harder. And now I wish you all a wonderful and successful conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.